Director of Investments at TCIG. I'm here with Bryheim and Kyle of BKP. And I am going to start by I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. So tell me a little bit about your personal backstory. How did the two of you meet and get into real estate?
Sure. So Kyle and I, we met, I think, in 2014. I was a student at Temple. He was a law student at Howard. And we were introduced by mutual connection. We both had an interest in real estate. And that connection was like, yo, you guys should really meet. You guys have a lot of interests, similar interests. And we did. We sat down. We had a meal. We split a meal together. And all she wrote. I mean, I think we closed our first deal a little shortly after that.
Okay. I love hearing these stories about when other people are introducing you, because, how many times does somebody go like, oh, you know who you should meet? And it doesn't turn into anything, So I love hearing stories like that. So how do you get from that first meal you guys had or that first meeting to an idea and then ultimately to BKP?
I think when Bryheim and I first met, Bryheim had been working in real estate, prior to our meeting. I had been working in real estate prior to our meeting. So when we met, like you said, it was like a focus meeting. It's like, okay, wait, you're doing this too. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this. I'll call you tomorrow with, I have a few properties of mine that we can take a look at. So it was so much specificity in the meeting that we were able to just take right off. Right after the meeting, we talked the next day on the phone, and we just got right to it.
What were some of the early challenges in getting into real estate for you both?
Access to capital,
money.
Absolutely. That's why we're here, right?
I think outside of that is also social capital, right? I think outside of having the funds to put deals together, I think it's the know-how, right? And having, mentorship or having other people that's in the business that also look like you that can kind of lend a hand or share some of their resources and experiences.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. And to that, tell me a little bit about how you got involved with the collective and what that experience was like for you.
Sure. So we were introduced to Taib, I think about 2 years ago. We had a deal that we were working on, and again, we couldn't put the funding together, and we were looking for a partner. We sat down, we talked. I think they had like an incubator that they were working on called the IF Lab. We didn't move forward on that deal together, but we stayed connected. Taib shot us a message one day, said, "Hey, I'm putting together this group called the Collective. We're trying to assemble, all the Black developers in the city to just come together and, share resources and try to help with some of the challenges we face."
Yeah.
Cool. And how do you guys do business differently than you would say maybe your competitors, or it could even be the neighborhoods you guys are developing in, or, just your business strategy? What would you say that is?
Well, I would say we're very particular about who we work with, and our mission is we're very focused on making sure we hire people that look like us, giving people an opportunity that may not have that opportunity had it not been for us being African American developers, and we're just really focused on bringing other companies up with that are led by Black people. So I would say that separates us. We just we focus on companies that are looking to led by Black people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's so important. It's so important for developers to even be in that position, and I think that's going to be something that we're going to keep saying, in this event and just going forward. That's a huge part of the narrative to even get developers to the point where they're able to hire people who look like them, work with people who look like them. I've had those experiences myself, and that's part of the impact. And we'll talk about impact in a little bit, but that's a huge part of impact that's not often captured. So I want to talk about your projects. So there's one project in particular, Germantown. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So we actually currently have site control of this site in Germantown. This will be our largest project to date. It's 50 units, 49 residential units, 1 commercial space. Some of the amenities consist of a community roof deck, fitness center, storage facilities, bike room. This project is also interesting because it falls. We're actually taking advantage of the low income housing bonus and not buying into it, but actually providing quality, affordable housing for residents that currently live in Germantown. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And was there another slide, Fiona? I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, so we really love Germantown. This would be our second project in Germantown. At the end of last year, we purchased a 7-unit apartment building. It's currently 100% occupied, and I think 60% of those units are affordable. And that's been really well.
Yeah, it's kind of been our motto to focus on, having projects that we can have affordable units in. And Germantown's a great place to do that.
Sure. And do most of your projects have an affordable component? Tell me a little bit about, was some of that required, through your, any incentives, or is that a personal mission that's important to the both of you?
So I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
I will say it is very challenging to do affordable housing, given rising construction costs, cost of land. But I think Kyle and myself, Kyle's from Frankfurt, I'm from North Philadelphia. I think we've seen some of the challenges people face with housing, and that is a hugely part of our mission to include affordable housing in all of our projects.
Yeah, and you see all this nice quality housing popping up all over the city. We just want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to enjoy these new apartments. So that's really personal to us.
Great. And with both of you being from Philadelphia, what trends are you seeing, or what are you kind of seeing happening in the market? I know it's so important to have developers who really understand the markets that they're operating in. So what are kind of the things you're seeing and that you're excited about?
So, like most metropolitan cities, kind of the focus is like center city or downtown, and we're seeing development, starting from downtown and going into these different neighborhoods that are, kind of surround downtown. So we are, just excited about seeing, projects, make it further out into Philadelphia. Like Bryheim said, I'm from Frankfurt, it's like next to Kensington. There's a lot of, development happening into Kensington now. And I'll be really glad when it gets to, my neighborhood where I grew up. And, something that's really important to us is, when it gets to my neighborhood, I think that, we want to develop in our neighborhoods, but obviously we don't want to push people out. So, we have to have, affordable units. The city has to have programs in place so that people won't be pushed out of their homes. So, that's really important to us. So just excited about Philadelphia and people coming here from New York and all over the place. So,
Yeah.
And what would you, oh, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it is really exciting to see, all the changes that have happened in Philly, I would say over the last decade.
Yeah.
I started in school at first in Virginia, and I came back. I'm from North Philadelphia. I came back and I noticed everything that happened to Temple. Like North Philly turned into Temple Town.
Yeah.
It was exciting, but it was also like, whoa, a lot of people are kind of getting displaced. Some people are getting put out, but it's also kind of cool that now we have a Chipotle right at the corner. You know what I mean? We got access to to other things that we might not have had. So it's kind of a balance. While we're very excited about the development, like Kyle said, we also want to kind of take the initiative to push affordable housing to prevent people from being pushed out of their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Right, right. And what would you say to outside developers? So developers who either didn't grow up in the neighborhoods you grew up in, or in Philadelphia for that matter, or just complete outsiders coming into the city and building. What's kind of the most important thing you would say for them to know?
I would say get to know the people.
Yeah,
get to know the people in the neighborhood, their needs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we come from different cultures, different backgrounds, and a lot of things can be avoided if we just talk to each other, get to know each other. So if you're coming from a different neighborhood, it's you can buy real estate wherever. This is America, but just get to know the people, talk to the people, get to know their needs, and try to create a space where everyone can share.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, talk to me a little bit about the social impact that your projects are having. What would you say the top 2 social impacts you have on the communities you're building in?
Mm-hmm. I would say who we hire. And, we, like I said, we try to hire, folks that look like us for, various professionals or consultants for projects and attorneys, architects, so I would say who we hire and probably the affordable housing, But one other aspect that's really, really, really important to us is being or representing, what can be, with the youth in Philadelphia, right? We want to inspire people, our peers, the younger generation, to be able to say, hey, this isn't a business that's just not tangible. We can actually, do a rehab, and do a real estate project or build a 20-unit building or 50-unit building. So if I see someone who looks like me, who's young, then maybe I can do it too. That's so important to us.
Yeah. I would also say, I guess while we're designing some of the projects, we're working on another larger project right now. And, we were thinking, how do we get the community involved, right? We're dropping this huge building right in the middle of this community. It's new. How can the community kind of share in some of that, those amenities? So we kind of planned out a garden space that, not only the residents of the building can access, but some of the local community residents can go and enjoy that space as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And when you're thinking through designing some of those components of your projects, are you going out and talking to people in the city? Like what's kind of, or in that community specifically, what's kind of your process? Is it just you knowing the neighborhood yourself and kind of being able to pick up on the needs, or, do you actually have these conversations with people in the community?
Yeah. On quite a few of our projects, we've gone door to door. We, been out in the freezing cold, right? Cold year, and we have this big poster board of our projects, and we're talking to people about the projects, giving them an opportunity to have some input. And everyone's not thrilled about the project. Some people love it, some people don't, but at least they had an opportunity. At least you're showing them the respect to know that, hey, we're proposing this. We'd like your support. What can we do to get your support? What do you think will be beneficial?
Yep.
What we can add to the project. But yeah, we've done a lot of hitting the ground and knocking on doors, and we've had our fair share of door slams. But I think the people appreciate the projects for the most part.
I love that because I think there's like this assumption that it's like, oh, it's a black developer. Like people are going to love it. Like people are going to love this project. And it's like, everybody's got their opinion.
No.
Right.
We learned that early on.
Yeah. Everybody.
Doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the outside, you always think like, oh, they're going to love this. The community's going to love, and everybody's got their own opinion. And it's not always that. But the important thing is that you're actually going out there and getting their feedback firsthand. And that's so great.
That's right. We've had a positive experience with, interacting with the community for our project. So it's been fun so far.
Yep.
Good. And Kyle, I want to go back to what you mentioned about the youth. What do you say to that teenager or, someone who just graduated high school? I get this all the time on social media, like, hey, I'm interested in real estate, and sometimes I don't really know what to say necessarily, but what do you say to that young person, who says like, I'm interested, but I don't know what to do?
Well, my favorite line is like, wait, this thing is not rocket science. Like once you learn real estate, you can scale and you can do, large projects. So that's kind of my philosophy. I went to undergrad at Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. I went to law school at Howard University. These are two like historical, predominantly Black cities. So, Black people are doing really well in these cities. So I had an opportunity to see, a lot of Black business people, having nice houses, having great businesses. And that was really inspiring to me. So I think that same thing can happen here in Philadelphia. And, I think the biggest motivation for a lot of folks is influence. You see someone who looks like you and say, wait, they look like me, or they're from my block and they're doing what? Wait, maybe I can do that too. And that's all that's been our history. I've been meeting people along my path, African American entrepreneurs, and they have just inspired me to say, hey, if you can do it, maybe I can do it as well. So we want the young people and even our peers to just see real estate as, it's the foundation of wealth in this country. Everybody, even if your passion is teaching or something else, you should have an investment property, right? So everybody should be participating.
Right. And to that participation, I think visibility is so important. I do a lot of public speaking arrangements, a lot specifically about real estate. And, sometimes I don't always want to do it, but in the back of my mind, I just always think like there's someone out there that doesn't think there's anyone who looks like me who does that, who's Black, who's a woman, whatever the case is. And I just feel like it's so critical for us to show up, and that visibility is so important. It's almost half of it, because you just need to be there for somebody to see you and say like, hey, like maybe I could do that too.
Yep.
So how do you guys try to stay visible?
So before I answer that question, I want to mention something something we actually do, right? When somebody comes to us and they say, hey, I want to get into real estate, even whether it's on Instagram or someone that's interested in working with us, we give them this book. Right. And this is kind of where we learned our principles of how, if he did this, we can do this too.
Yeah.
Don Peebles principles. If you ask anyone that asked me, I've recommended that book. Wonderful book. You're going through it. This guy's talking about private-public partnerships, right? He's the largest African-American developer in the country, right? We're looking at this guy. We're like, if he can do it, we definitely can do it.
Yep.
And that's really the, I guess the foundation. That's really how. Once we met, we read the book, that was our Bible. And it's like, all right, well, we need to do this. He did this, let's do this. He did it that way, let's do it that way.
And we're taking stuff right out of the book. So thank you, Mr. Peebles.
I hope that message gets back to him.
Yeah. So, but to answer your question about visibility, it's funny because we are, I would say, a little generally uncomfortable with like posting ourselves on Instagram. And, you don't want to seem like you're bragging and stuff to folks. So it's really challenging, and we're still like kind of growing in terms of how we post, what we post, how often we post. We've hired a consultant to help us with like, social media. But like you said, you have to keep in mind, other people have to see you. You have to be seen so that people know there are people that look like them that can, that operate in this business. So
Absolutely.
You can too.
We also jump on opportunities when we can go and speak. We spoke in front of Frankfurt High School on a panel before to some students. So anytime that opportunity comes, kind of show our face and share our experiences, we're open to that.
Yeah, cool. Well, hopefully we'll be able to help you with, some of the visibility, put this platform, has been so great. And, hopefully there's some social media press out of that, right? Well, real quick, somebody asked, what is the name of the book? I just want to get them that answer. Can you say the name again by Don Peebles?
It's Peebles Principles.
The people.
Okay.
The Peebles.
Okay.
Great book.
Yep. Yeah. It tells you he did his first deal. He was in his 20s. So we were just sold. We were reading the book, excited, calling each other and say, hey, we need to do this. And, that's it.
And I love that idea. I think it's a really great response when you're able to point someone in the direction of the book, because, one thing I always say is like the information is out there, maybe people just need guidance navigating to that information, or they need to be directed to the information. But the information is out there, at least to start, at a starting point. And that's not going to take you all the way there. But I think it's a great starting point.
Oh,
and it's a proven method.
Yeah, we outside of people's books, we're just junkies for education and this business. And if you're deciding this is your passion, this is your career, you kind of have to be. We buy textbooks and we're studying. I'm highlighting things in a book. We should try this. We're constantly discussing, our education, and we plan to attend. We attend conferences. We plan to attend more conferences. YouTube videos. So like you said, there's so much out there, in terms of education. And it's really helpful. We still use, a lot of it to this day.
I think mentorship is very important too. I think it's one thing to read it or find some information online, but to actually see someone doing it that you can call and run something by them. I think that's critical.
Did you two have mentors?
Yes, I had a wonderful mentors brother by the name of Omar Karine. He runs Banneker Ventures. It's a company out of Washington, D.C. in Maryland, and he's a real estate developer. I met him through a class that I took, an entrepreneurship class I took at Howard Law. He came back to speak to the class, and I just called him and bugged him, to get an internship, and he gave me an opportunity, and like I said, just being able to watch him on a daily basis run a $40 million company was just such a blessing. And it's why we have a internship program now where we, graduated one person. He works for a developer now. We have another intern now that came out of Monmouth University.
Yep.
So that's important to us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think also, back to the original question, what would you say to a student coming out of high school that's interested in real estate? I would say, go to school and then go work for a developer.
Yeah.
That is a great way to gain exposure, knowledge, contacts, and just really learn the ins and outs of the business.
And to be clear, you don't have to work for a developer. I think that brings confidence when you work for a Black developer that looks like you. But even if it's not a developer that looks like you, you can still add value and still have a lot to learn. Yep. The important thing is to get the experience.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, we are going to be wrapping up soon. So if there's one thing you would say you want to accomplish for 2021, I'll let each of you give one goal for you guys that absolutely we did it, we accomplished it in 2021. What would that one thing be?
I would say increase our presence online. I think in some of these communities, with what we're talking about now, making ourselves more available to members, to the youth, members of the community that are interested in real estate development. I think that is a goal. That's something that we talk about, all the time. Taking some of these kids, showing them some of our projects that's currently under construction, taking them through the process from inception to completion, really giving them the raw deal on what's going on in our development deals.
Cool.
I'm gonna second that goal.
No, come on. You need your own.
I got another one.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brian.
So I think a big goal for ours, company-wise, would be to reach our goal of 100 units under construction. Currently, right now, as of next week, we will have 33 units under construction. We have a few more projects in the pipeline that should be starting right after that. But I think a good goal of ours is to have 100 units under construction by the end of the year.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds good. I'll take that answer.
Thank
Well, thank you.
That's a partnership right there.
That is very strong partnership right there. Thank you. Well, I appreciate your time. We're going to get to the next session in a couple of minutes. I'm going to give everyone 5 minutes back.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
Bye, guys.